Hey pros, Crystal here from Pro Beauty Wholesale. So we are going to dive right into our content on how to build your private label brand or even your wholesale brand. So this is going to be all about beauty, just basically giving you the steps from beginning to end to give you a successful product launch. So we'll start out by doing the nooks and crannies, which is all of the necessities, getting your business out of the way, and then we'll go right into actual product. And then we will end with how to actually launch this product line and be successful out here in this marketplace, because these streets are heavy, super heavy. All right, so let's start with step number one. You woke up this morning, you said, I want to launch a beauty brand, and you have no idea where you're going. So I'm gonna make this super simple for you. It cost me a ton of money to figure it out, but I'm giving you all of the details for the free 99. So let's start with your company name, your brand name, your logo, your registration, and then we'll go forward with your trademark. A lot of times people wake up, you start a brand and you say, hey, I think today I want to name my brand XYZ Lace. That is too simple, and it is not going to help you in the long run. So what I always tell people to do when you are launching your brand, your company name needs to be a name that you can use 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now. Secondly, you never want to launch your brand with a name that is super personal, because your name is really not what's going to carry you. You want this name to be so vague, so uncolored, so unraced, is that a word? So neutral that any race can pick your product up and not wonder if you are black, white, silver, purple, orange, or brown, okay? So your company name, you definitely want to make sure that it's simple enough for people to understand. It identifies who you are wholeheartedly, but at the same time, take your personal life out of the picture, okay? So brand name is important. This is also gonna go on your products. So that leads us into your logo. Logos are super important as well. Number one, what I would say with the logo is definitely try to keep it as simple as possible in respects to color. You also wanna make sure that it is aesthetically pleasing, because this is going in print. So while it might look nice in, that 3D replication or somewhere that you might have just seen it sitting on a wall, remember, this is going on a product and it can't be too big, it can't be too small. What I always recommend with a logo is to try to stay in the realm of no more than about 1 inch in height and 1 inch in width as your regular logo. Of course, you can blow it up, make it as big or as small as you want, but when you're looking at it on a product, on an actual bottle, remember, you are going on the shelf with 8,000 other companies and you have to stand out, but you want to stand out for the right reasons. Most people want to go the cheap route. I started that way. It really didn't work out as well as I thought, because I changed my logo about 5 or 6 times. Keep in mind, it is okay to evolve or grow, and your logo changes over time. But if you did it the way that I did it, where this week I'm Styles by Crystal, next week I'm Elite Pro, Thursday, I'm Elite Hair Care USA. Then next Saturday, I'm Elite Styles by Crystal. That really is not going to work. You're going to waste a lot of money and you're going to do a lot of backtracking. So what I suggest is to do 4 logo renditions after you developed your company name. So for company name, I want to back up just a little bit. Make sure that you are at least giving yourself options. So start by listing out 4 different names that you really, really like. Take those 4 names, bring them to a friend or a professional that you trust that is going to give you good information or great feedback, and then have them decide and then put those 2 together to determine your direction from there. So when you do go into the logo area, remember, you're paying for this. So if you go to a designer with 6 different names, they're going to create 6 different logos, and you've just spent an astronomical amount of money developing a logo that you're never going to use. So when I started with my first brand many, many years ago, my logo changed about 7 or 8 times. And when I led into product and really got into retail and really saw the difference, I was just kind of underwowed with what I had done. And that's another reason why I just highly recommend going the professional route from the beginning and saving yourself a lot of time, energy, and of course ducats, because this is all coming out of your pocket. Now with logo design, there are a couple different avenues that you can use. You can definitely use Fiverr. Fiverr is a platform where there are a multitude of freelancers in multitudes of countries. You can use them, find a designer that you really like. I will say that Fiverr can sometimes be very overwhelming, but cost-wise, it'll probably be one of the most cost-effective places for you if you don't have a lot of money to start your brand, which most people don't wake up with $1 million and say that they have this money to give away. Another place that you can use to get your logo design, freelancer.com. You can also hire freelancers on another platform called Upwork, where they give you the pricing and then you determine, what you like or don't like, and you kind of go from there. You can, if you're super creative, use Canva. Canva is a great place as well. It is extremely cost effective. And there's a lot of templates on Canva that you can use and manipulate to kind of make it into your own. And you're able to get those high resolution files that you will need for your logo, for your labels when you're actually creating your product label going forward. So everything that we're doing in this particular portion is really preparing you for your labels, your products, marketing, and really just opening the door for you to be able to enter this marketplace, whether it be e-commerce or if you're ready to jump straight into retail, absolutely, go right on ahead. Now, of course, when you're designing your logo, brand colors are extremely important. The brand colors are going to really represent your identity. That doesn't necessarily mean that every product is going to match your brand color, but that is going to be your logo, and that's going to be your identity in the marketplace, no matter where you are. So when I started out with a million different colors, and I soon found out that number one, it gets very expensive when you're trying to do any type of marketing with these, or print marketing, where you're doing shirts or anything that requires an embroidery or screen printing. All of that stuff gets very expensive when you have a ton of colors. So what I suggest is definitely stick to no more than 3 brand colors. So like for Pro Beauty Wholesale, our colors are pink, black, and white. Easy. Know your color codes, which is extremely easy to find, and that will be your identity from there going forward. That's also going to be what you use when you're doing your labeling, when you're talking to your designers. They speak in what we call hex, so you want to make sure that your hex colors or your hex numbers are correct. I wouldn't say to go into too many metallic colors with your logo. That gets very expensive on labels as well, especially if you're trying to do gold foiling or embossing. But honestly, when you pick your colors, just kind of stick in that realm. But like I said, that's not going to change your identity when it comes on to you creating your products or your brand advertisements at that time. Now that's going to lead us into the other things that you definitely need, which, like I said, we call these the necessities. All of this needs to be done before you even think about picking a product from Pro Beauty. So now you want to make sure that you have your domain name, which is why we started with your company name or your brand name. Once you have your company name, this is going to follow you. This is where all of your ducats are going to go at the beginning. So your website or your domain name is super important. I highly recommend you go ahead and get that now rather than later. I will give you an example as to why. When I first launched my brand name was Elite Total Body Care. At that time, I wanted to be into body, hair, food, skin, everything all in one. So that's why I came up with that name. I decided that I wanted to go and get the domain name for that name about 2 years later. Well, that domain name no longer is available, and I don't want to have a .org or a .net. .com is going to be one of the most beneficial URL endings. I don't know the actual word for it, but that is the one that you want. So I highly, highly, highly recommend when you get this company name, go ahead and get your domain name. You can use a resource such as GoDaddy.com, domains.com. There are so many other platforms that you can use to purchase your domain name. And then you're going to purchase it for whether it be a year, 5 years, 10 years, just depending on your budget. But definitely get that domain name ahead of time, even if you're not ready to do your website creation. Now, outside of the domain name, a lot of these companies where you're buying these things from, they also offer the email portion of that. So I'll use our Elite Hair Care brand as an example. So my main brand is Elite Hair Care USA. My domain name is elitehaircareusa.com. My email is info@elitehaircareusa.com. So everything needs to transition in the same space and stay with the same name. I do not believe in using Gmails as your email, Yahoo as your email. That is super unprofessional. And when you're entering into this retail space, no matter if it's e-commerce or in an actual store, beauty supply, on your salon shelf, or at a flea market, best believe that everything needs to be cohesive and you have to be above your competitor. And your competitor might not even be your competitor right now, But later on, you will quickly find out that you have a million competitors out there and you didn't even know that they existed. So definitely make sure you're getting that email, getting the domain name. Yes, it does cost at the beginning, but it is an investment that you actually cannot pass because you're going to need that for your product label as well. And that is how you're going to also transition into your marketing, which we'll get into that in segment number 3. Definitely also remember, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, now is definitely the time, okay? And then go to probeautywholesale.com to make sure that you are registered for our newsletter so you can get all the good deets for the free 99 on how to keep your brand as successful and moving as this industry is right now. So the next step after having your email address and your domain name is, of course, your website design. Now, you don't have to rush to get your website designed right away because you don't actually have a product yet. We haven't worked with you to create your actual collection. But eventually the time is going to come where it's time for you to build a website, and I'll give you a couple resources that you're able to utilize. These are definitely startup resources, but you are welcome to venture out from here. And also keep in mind, everything that you're learning from these videos, this is really the beginning of it. There's nothing to say that this is 100% your blueprint. You don't have to follow it in this order. But a lot of the information that I'm giving, I wasn't given, and I kind of did it later on in the game when I should have done it earlier in the game. So website design, you can use Upwork.com, Freelancer.com, Fiverr. You'll hear me mention Fiverr a multitude of times throughout a lot of the segments of this series. Canva, if you're really comfortable. I probably wouldn't recommend using Canva unless you're more advanced. I wouldn't purchase Photoshop and all these different programs if you're really not understanding them. But you can also go on Etsy. Etsy is a great place for beginners. It's a great place to get website templates that are very cost effective. They will even put those templates on to your platform for you for a very minimal cost. Etsy is one of those places where you can kind of see what you're getting ahead of time and get the turnaround time within 24 to 48 hours. Now, lastly, of course, you can hire a graphic designer if you're comfortable. Definitely go for it. Keep in mind, you're going to start with a couple hundred to a couple thousands of dollars. I've designed a couple websites with a lot of designers, and I don't even have those websites now. So be mindful when you're dealing with the designers. I highly recommend also, just a quick pro tip, if you are going to use a designer, make sure it's contracted. I've sued 3 designers behind a website. You don't want to have to go that route. Take my foolish advice. Definitely get a contracted designer. Outside of that, platforms for you to utilize for your e-commerce, because most times websites are designed for e-commerce basis, I would highly recommend to go straight to Shopify. Wix is okay. Big Cartel, those are great, but Shopify is going to be probably one of the better platforms. It is also the platform that most of the big dogs are using, and 95% of the time, you're going to end up in Shopify for most of its capabilities. Now, the different resources that I'm giving you in these videos are not sponsored. You're welcome to reach out and sponsor, though. But you are definitely welcome to utilize them. I just like giving you guys the information for the free 99 because I want you guys to be a successful beauty brand no matter which direction. So after we've gotten into the website, let's lead into one of the more important things, your address. A lot of people think that an address does not matter, and 100% it really does. Now, your address cannot be your home address. I would never recommend that. Number 1, for safety reasons. Number 2, take your personal life out of your business. Take out Crystal out of the business. Take out your kids out of the business. Take your home out of the business. Because remember, if you ever wake up one day with a lawsuit on your hands, they are going to come after you personally because you had no business in front of you to protect you. So you always want to think, protect your asset. Your main asset is yourself. So your address is definitely going to be a big part of that. I would highly recommend, if you don't have a warehouse or an office space, to go ahead and utilize a virtual address. They are called virtual mailboxes. They have virtualmailbox.com. There's so many different places that you can get a virtual address from that can now become your business address until you grow into the place where you have a brick and mortar or a physical place that is different from your home. Okay, so virtual addresses, how they work, it's a couple dollars a month. You get to use a actual business address with a suite number or a unit number. They actually will accept your mail for you, and then they will scan the mail over to you if there is any mail. On the opposite end, you're able to utilize this address when you are mailing your products to your customers later on, when you're doing your state registrations, which we'll talk about in just a moment, when you're dealing with any form of government entity or agency, when you're dealing with the IRS, when you're dealing with all of these different companies, you don't want to really use your home address for that. And I highly recommend using your business address. Furthermore, your business address actually is required to be printed on your product label. So when you get your Pro Beauty products, your business address must be on your product label. That is an FDA requirement. That's not even an option. So would I like my home address printed on product labels that will end up anywhere and everywhere? No. So keep that definitely in mind for that part of the process when it's time for you to do your labeling. Now that's going to roll us into the IRS. As I said before, the IRS is the biggest bully on the planet. So make sure that you go ahead and get that EIN number. You do not use your social security number on your business. That opens the door for you to now be liable. So EIN is super important. It's free. You do not have to pay a company to get an EIN number. Go to the IRS. You can Google IRS EIN, pass those sponsored links that show on the top, and go directly into that system where you are able to go ahead and register your business with the IRS. Tell them who you are. That is also going to open the door for you to be able to get your financials in order, whether it be bank accounts, find credit. Some people want credit. It's just going to open that door for you to be able to do that and take your personal life out of the equation. And also, like I said, protect you, which is your biggest asset. Now, outside of the IRS registration, you do still have to register with the state that you live in. Every state is different, but there is a governing agency for that. So in Florida, we have Sunbiz. They have so many other. In Wyoming, it's anonymous. It's just so many different places, but definitely go to the agency that is within your state, because that is also going to be the place where you can determine if your name is even available for you to use. That's a big part of it. Lastly, after you've gotten your company name, you've gotten your address, you've gotten your domain name, you've gotten your state registration, at this point, you're ready to go ahead and trademark if this is a name that you know you want to use forever. Like I said at the beginning, you want to think 10 to 15 to 20 years later. So at this point, if you're ready to trademark, you can go ahead and get your trademarking done, whether it be with an attorney or by yourself. My first trademark for my Elite hair care brand, I did it myself. It was very tedious and aggravating. So I definitely recommend hiring an attorney to do it for you if you have the budget. If not, you can definitely do it on your own. That trademark is going to help you to put that TM right behind your name or your logo on all of your products. You don't want to launch a brand that everybody else can launch to. So that is going to be the end of the necessities. Definitely don't forget, if you did not already do so, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to our channel, get connected, jump on our website, probeautywholesale.com, go ahead and get registered, and then we're going to go ahead and move into now choosing your products so that you can get this brand launched. Bye.